Welcome, everybody. It's time once again for the next chapter with Charlie Hedges as he explores turning the page on his life and yours. Hey, Charlie.
Hi, Paul. You know, I am what you might call an ideological planner. When I do personal annual planning, my purpose is understanding and growing my inner life. I like to work, sort of this annual planning idea more about who I want to be as opposed to what I want to do. So it's about my inner core, and that's because what I do is dictated by who I am, by my character. It doesn't believe with me saying I'm going to start exercising every day. There's how does that impact who I am? And so today I feel very fortunate to have a guest who is an expert on planning the inner life. In fact, she has been my personal coach, continues to guide my thinking about life, the universe, and everything, according to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Dena Crowder, I am and who I'm created to be. So on this show, Dena will guide me into how to define what she calls my theme for 2022. Now, the idea of what an annual theme is will be explained in the show, so I won't take the time to talk about it now. But please know, Dena Crowder is one of my absolute favorite people, and before we bring her on the show, I want you to check out her mission. And this is what she writes. Dena Crowder helps gifted leaders and creatives answer their higher calling and shift the status quo. Over the years, she has helped thousands of people activate their inner power so they can start or enhance existing businesses, align their personalities with their souls, and take their place in the spotlight. Dena is on a mission. She's on a mission to dethrone power based on fear and scarcity and return living power to its rightful place in our world and in our hearts and in ourselves. So with that, let's bring on life and business guru, Dena Crowder. Dena Crowder, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Charlie. It's always great to be here.
As we said earlier, it's been a while and have missed you, and it's just great to hear your voice. I enter a whole new phase of sort of, I don't know if excitement, but comfort and confidence just hearing your voice. You have meant so much to me.
Oh, thank you, Charlie. You're an incredible and extraordinary person yourself over there.
That has to do with my last theme that I've been working really hard on, and that's my ability to receive love, because I've sort of pushed it aside and not believed it, and it was all of my insecurities. And so as much progress as I have made in that, it is still difficult to hear positive things about myself. I say, but you don't know me.
Yeah, you're not alone, Charlie. Receiving is quite vulnerable, and some of your listeners may be familiar with Brene Brown.
Yes.
Had that extremely popular TED Talk and I think a very successful Netflix special as well. One of the things she talks about, one of her main points, is the necessity of vulnerability to live a creative life, to live a wholehearted life, but also how scary it is to be vulnerable. And it requires a level of vulnerability to receive. So what you're saying, Charlie, many, many of your listeners are in the same boat.
Two questions come to mind, Dena. One, I would like you to describe from your point of view, and also as you understand Brene, how would you define vulnerability? But then I would also like to add, just before you answer that, there is a degree, vulnerability requires some degree, does it not? You may not agree with this, but it seems to me it requires some degree of self-confidence, of self-assurance, of a solid sense of self that I'm not going to be harmed by this vulnerability. And when we see ourselves so brittle, so easily troubled by those vulnerable situations, then we have a difficult time being vulnerable. Did that make any sense, or was that roundabout?
It makes perfect sense. To me, I translate that is, if you're so afraid of being open that you can't be open, then you will not allow yourself to have a point of connection with another person or persons. And therefore you can't receive. Because we all know, if Santa is knocking on the door with your Christmas gift, but you don't open it, you can't receive the gift. You have to have an opening. You have to have an opening. So to be able to receive, whether it's a compliment, an idea, some new blessing or opportunity, there must be a pathway of opening. And that's where vulnerability comes in. But if you've been, let's say, traumatized in the past, you've been abused, you had a cultural conditioning that said, people like me, we don't show vulnerability. We have a lot of leaders in that situation.
Oh my.
Where they are afraid to show, they're afraid to even say, I made a mistake, we're going to revisit that. Because they've been trained that is weakness, that's going to harm them. Exactly what you said, that it's a threat. So they don't do that, and therefore they don't receive information that might be helpful for everyone.
I interviewed an author who's a well-known journalist, and she wrote a book on why they stay, and she took 8 political wives, and why, and she took Eleanor Roosevelt, Jackie Kennedy, Hillary Clinton, Melania Trump, and then 4 others that were not quite so well known, although you would know the names of the Vitters and some other people that were involved. And the one thing that she brought up about Donald's father is that weakness and saying I'm sorry were absolutely unallowed in his household. That's not just Trump. I mean, that's the way many of our leaders and our people of power think, that they always have to be right and they always have to be strong, and this level of vulnerability doesn't really work.
That's absolutely right. Yes. Because vulnerability and weakness are not the same thing. We've collapsed them. Vulnerability and sitting duckness are not the same thing. We've collapsed them.
They're actually opposites, are they not?
They're actually opposites, yes.
That only the strong person can be vulnerable. And you gain strength in practicing vulnerability.
Yes.
So, Dena, here's where I want to go for today. I don't know if this is where I'll end up with the title, but if I say it on air, then I've got to end up with the title. But I'm thinking of 2022, and I'm calling it Starting Right.
Okay.
We need to start with a baseline, a personal baseline of who we want to be and where we want to go, how we define ourselves. And then at the end of the year, we can measure ourselves against that baseline. You do an end line. We do lots of studies, a lot of data studies in our wells, and how successful a well was in impacting a village. But we have to do a baseline study. What were they like before the well? What are they like after the well? So what I'm calling for is for us to create a baseline. Now, Dena, I don't know what year this was. I put my theme for 2022 or for 2021. I think it might have been 2020. I'm not. The years are running together, but my theme for the year was learning to receive love. Mm-hmm. That I could give love. I think I'm a decent lover. But and this is where maybe I already mentioned this, but did I already mention this?
Keep going.
Okay. But that I have a hard time receiving love because I truly don't feel I'm worthy of it. And
Yes.
And I then took a 10-day silent retreat and worked on this. And Dena, it was life impacting. When I was able to get away from my fears and my self-criticism and my keeping score and how am I standing up against others, when I was able to disengage from that, I could receive that love and just be so delighted that somebody thought that of me. And Dena, it was a result of your work. It was a result of what you did when you had me go through that. I would like us, in just a few minutes, to do a whole experimental process that you take me through defining my theme for 2022. Is that possible?
Of course. Anything is possible. Absolutely. Your wish is my command. We shall get your theme. We will take you in. We'll get your theme. And, Charlie, you've said something really I want to highlight for your listeners. You were talking about self-worth. The actor Will Smith, who I'm sure you know,
of course,
he has his memoir out now. It's relatively new. I think it's been out a couple months. And it's called Will by Will Smith. He tells a story in this book about meeting Nelson Mandela and how Nelson Mandela said, I want you to come spend some time with me. Because Will said to him, oh, sir, how is it that with all you've gone through, you can still have this beautiful light and this kindness and a level of vulnerability? And he said, well, come spend some time with me. I'll show you. And every year after that, he reached out to Will and said, I'm an old man. When are you coming? I'm an old man. And he never went. And then he got the call one day that Nelson Mandela had died. And he said he doesn't have many regrets, but this is one of his lifetime regrets. And upon retrospect, introspecting into himself, he realized, I didn't feel worthy. That's why I didn't go. I didn't feel worthy. So he couldn't receive a gift that Nelson Mandela wanted to give him, this gift of teaching and wisdom and companionship, mentorship, because he didn't feel worthy. He couldn't be open to receive because there was a lack of worthiness. You're hitting all the points here, Charlie. I hope your listeners can really make some connections for themselves.
Thank you. So, Dena, before we get into the theme, perhaps you could describe to us about the idea of an annual theme. I think that's something you created because I've never read it from anybody else.
Yes, I did. I did create it, and I've been doing it with clients for decades at this point. And it's amazing. Your theme is a bouncer at the door. It's a guidepost. It is a guiding light. It is a North Star. When you have this one simple concept or idea, quality to follow, it's your North Star for that 12-month period. It's very much like when you are going to paint your home and you've got to match the color that's already on the wall. You get a swatch and you hold it up and you say, oh no, this doesn't match. Toss it. Let's get something else. That's what your theme does. It's a matching tool because all of your actions, all of your choices that you make, the way that you spend your time and money, all of that, you line it up with your theme and you ask yourself, is this helping me to get here? Is this helping me to achieve or accomplish this theme? Will this take me closer to my theme? In your case, Charlie, you're saying, well, wait a minute. Will this choice get me closer to being a better receiver of love? Will this action take me closer to being a better receiver of compliments and praise and good things? And if the answer is no, then you must resist the temptation to do that action or to make that choice. So the theme is an invaluable tool. I can't overstate it. I have so many examples of how clients over the years utilizing, engaging with their theme has really changed the trajectory of what that year could have been, not only with their relationships and their personal life and health, but also with money.
As I'm listening to you and thinking about it, there are two critical components. One is identifying your theme, and the second, equally and perhaps even more important, is strategies for utilizing it, because we can identify it and then it just goes in a notebook and we're done. And that, what I think really helped me the last time I did it, I did the theme, and within less than a month, I was at a 10-day silent retreat thinking about it. So it was hammered into me, and that caused it to last a year. I could see how easy it would be for someone to create their theme, and unless we offer them a strategy for using it, it may not be quite as helpful. Do you think?
Absolutely, 100%. So we can talk about that at the end, about the very easy, simple strategies they can apply immediately to allow that theme to become a living presence in their life. As you know, Charlie, I'm talking about, and always all about, living power. Not dead power, not distorted power, not power based on fear and scarcity and force or shame, all of the things that we are steeped in right now in this modern world. It's about the living power, connected on the inside, and then able to reflect that power outside of you and to live powerfully from that place. So what does that require? It requires active engagement.
Dena, aren't you the one that told me that your definition of power was power to as opposed to power over?
Yes, that's right.
And I think when we think of power, we think of power over. We think of control, and, we think of our whole hierarchical system, the American way, and you're talking sort of upside down thinking of power, which is really it's the divine use of power. And the divine use of power is not, God does not use power over, God uses power to. I mean, and I've been reading Scripture a lot lately, and I think I could find plenty of resources to confirm that. So, Dena, here's what I want to do. We've got some time left, and I am going to sit back as host, and I am going to, I hope, that I prepared you well enough to know that from now on, this show is your show. This is the Dena Crowder Show.
I'm taking over, Charlie. All right.
Yeah, I know. I knew. Anytime I give you a chance to take over, I give you power too, and you're going to take advantage of it.
Yes, power to and with, in connection to what you said, to the divine kind of source power. That's exactly right. Okay, So here we go. And as I am talking to you, I want to encourage your listeners to follow along and do the exercise with themselves. It's an invitation. Of course, you don't have to, but it would be a lot of fun for you and very useful if you're willing to play along and find your theme too.
I encourage that. That's really 90% of the objective of this show is that you can teach other people how to discover their theme and then what to do with it.
All right. You ready to go, Charlie?
I'm ready.
Okay. We start in a very counterintuitive way. And this is important. I want you to understand that what I'm going to ask you and your listeners who are coming along for this ride, at first you might say, I don't know why this has to, what this has to do with the theme. I want you to trust me because I'm going to explain as we go why it's crucial.
Okay.
So this is a first step of trust, and then I will reveal all. And that is, I want you to close your eyes if you can, Charlie.
I can.
Take a breath. Yeah. Take a breath. Come into your being. Let yourself know you're here, you're safe, you're present. Let your breath be a breath of gratitude because you are here, you are alive, you are well, you are healthy. And exhale any tension or stress that you may have been dealing with before this exercise. And give yourself permission to make contact with your own inner wisdom, with the deepest part of you, which I call your essence, and for your essence and your inner wisdom to connect to whatever you see as your higher power. For some people, they use the word God. So just being willing and giving permission for all that to happen. You don't need to do anything fancy. Really, willingness is the key. And then from that point, here's the question. Reviewing 2021, what were your main disappointments? Now, you don't have to tell me these in detail, Charlie. This will be elective whether you tell me or not. But this is for you, important. Do a little review and say, what were my 3 biggest disappointments this year? And once you have a sense of that, choose one of them. We're going to work with one of them. If you're listening at home or in your car, you will want to do this as well. If you're in a place where you can't write it down now, that's okay. You can come back and write it down later. But ideally, you'll jot these disappointments down and then pick one. And when you've got one, Charlie, let me know.
We can't have silence on the radio, so you have to sing a song.
No, I will keep talking. So when you get one, you let me know. And meanwhile, for everybody else who's listening, the disappointment is something that we would normally lean away from. We want to bury it. We want to put it under the rug. But in this case, connecting to whatever has been disappointing this year. I've been really disappointed that I didn't meet my money goal. I was really disappointed that someone I loved got COVID. I was really disappointed I wasn't able to lose those 10 pounds I thought I would lose this year. Whatever it is, there is great energy and wisdom underneath the disappointment. And we want to find that wisdom so that you do not have to repeat the same experience in 2022. That is going to lead us into the theme. So this is a key exercise. Unchecked and just buried, disappointments fester. They turn into fear. They turn into resentment. They also turn into what Charlie talked about earlier, which is an unconscious kind of sneaky off and hidden lack of worthiness. So this is very important for us to get the disappointments out in the open. Another thing that Brene Brown speaks about is shame. And when we have these disappointments that we haven't reconnected with and liberated from, there's often an element of hidden shame that starts to sneak in because we're embarrassed, we're ashamed that we haven't accomplished things or that our life hasn't gone a certain way. With that said, Charlie, how you doing?
I have one.
Okay, good.
I'll be honest. I'll be out there.
Okay, good.
What good is a podcast if I'm not honest?
Yeah, we're good.
It's going to be very vulnerable because we're going to have listeners hearing my disappointments or frustrations. I'm looking at becoming an executive coach once again.
Mm-hmm.
Only, Dena, I don't want a whole boatload of clients. I'm an old man. I'm 72. I want to do it for the fun of it. And so I'm only looking for 2 or 3 clients, but they would be high-level executives because that's who I deal with. And I deal with positive psychology. I deal with childhood trauma and how that impacts the leadership skills, relationship with other people, and the relationship of oneself. And I had a coach that really, we walked through a whole process, and she thinks I'm a better coach than I think I am, and she wants me to charge these outrageous fees. I am kind of disappointed that I'm not confident I can do that, and I'm not sure anybody's interested, and yet the people that I talk to, the couple of sort of mentors, coaches, friends in that area just say, Charlie, you're underplaying yourself. You're undervaluing yourself because you are totally worth it. Like, for instance, the prices they wanted me to charge, I thought were way too high. They said, Charlie, your clients were $38,000 watches. So they're not going to pay attention to a $5,000 coaching fee.
Right.
That's not going to be of value to them. So I'm sort of disappointed with that, and I had looked forward to it because I so enjoy coaching. I'm in a coaching experience right now that is, Dena, probably one of my best coaching experiences ever. It's because of the use of positive psychology and childhood trauma and putting those together. And instead of working on what is wrong and how can we fix you, instead saying, what is right with you and how can we expand and use that? And when you focus on that, all of your negative things will begin to diminish because you're spending all of your energy on the positive. The idea behind it is very strong, but the actual fulfillment of it is not happening.
Gotcha. Okay.
Is that one that works?
Yeah, that works. That tracks.
That dog will hunt, huh?
Yes, that dog will hunt now. It really will, because you have shared with us, first of all, you broke any kind of spell around fear of vulnerability right there. You told us the whole truth and nothing but, and it's something that's close to your heart. It's meaningful to you, and that's what we're looking for. So here's what we do. With your disappointment, you've got others, and you can do the same process with them later. But for now, we're going to focus on just one, like Charlie gave us his one. So close your eyes again, Charlie. And I want you to imagine that disappointment you just told us about is like this heavy rock, and it gets tossed into a gorgeous crystalline lake. It's at the bottom of the lake. You dive in and swim down there, and you touch this rock. And what you notice is that as you touch it, it begins to peel like an onion. So this very heavy, calcified rock, it's just kind of peeling and falling apart and dissolving. And underneath when you get down to the very core of it, underneath is this little gem, this little jewel. It is a jewel of wisdom. Wisdom is beyond the sting of the pain, beyond the confusion, beyond the duality of the mind, because the mind is a wonderful tool, but it divides. It keeps us in duality. That's what our personality does. It keeps us in the realm of yes, no, right, wrong, good, bad. Wisdom is beyond that. It's the realm of Rumi. It's the third road. So you hold this gem, and there is a message of wisdom that this gem is imparting to you. And the wisdom is something that takes you out of whatever the thinking is with the disappointment and into a message of a wise message that if you were able to take it in would allow you to not repeat this experience of disappointment in 2022. So there is some higher message, a message of wisdom that is at the very bottom and core underneath the sting of the disappointment. So Charlie, I want to hear what you get as this message, and don't worry about whether it makes sense or it's logical. Any impression at all, even if it's not a complete thought, is totally fine. So you let me know when you've got something, and of course, if you need help, you just say help at any time, because I want you to allow yourself to just see what you feel this wisdom message might be at the bottom of your disappointment. You found your own gem and your own jewel, and you're asking yourself, well, in this very disappointing situation, if there is some wisdom underneath the bottom of it, what might it be? It's a message from your soul and a message from your higher power, from God, from the universe, both and, to help move you along into the next stage and out of the disappointment. Charlie, what do you have for me?
So many thoughts. Well, not so many, just a couple. The first thing is what I threw into this lake of, what did you call it? Crystalline lake.
Yeah, crystalline lake, yes.
What I threw into this crystalline lake was a weighty fixation with my inadequacy. And this kernel of wisdom is in the center of it, but that crusty weight of inadequacy and fear and insecurity is not real. It is based on childhood experiences and different experiences, and my fears, just my fears of failure and my fears of other people accepting me and being rejected. Who do you think you are to do it? But as I go down and touch that and remove that, I realize those are not coming. I just have never or rarely received that kind of feedback from anybody that says you're incapable, you're not good at this. I've received exactly the opposite information, but because of my background, I don't believe it. And right. I need what helps when I sort of go down and I either touch it or I pick and chisel it, and I chisel away that crusty self. And when that crusty self, when all of those internally based lies and excuses for not doing what I want to do, there's this kernel, Dena, that I actually believe I am a good coach. I'm coaching someone right now that, as I said, may be one of the best it's a whole new process. I've discovered this whole new process of coaching, or kind of created this whole new process of coaching that may be the most powerful thing I've ever done. And and then from my coach and her assistant, both have familiarity with my history of coaching and my history of reading and studying and working with people, and they just said, Charlie, you know, they use these really glowing terms that are just very difficult, you know, when they say you're brilliant, you can do this, and I just go, yeah, you know. I see a core of that is true not only for me, but for many others. You know, this is not a comparison. Let's make this clear to the audience. If I am brilliant, it is not compared to whether you are or you are not. It has nothing to do with anybody else, and it has to do with who is the core me in Imago Dei, in the image of God, and this is the way I'm created. And I need to just take this emerald, or this precious stone, in the sense of it, and believe in this precious stone, and access that more than the crusty negative self-talk.
Believe in your inner treasure. You believe in the wisdom is believe in your worth. It's what we started talking about. Believe in your worth. Believe in the value of your coaching. And that's not about money. First and foremost, it's believing in the value and the excellence of your coaching. Believing in the value of who you are as a presence, delivering the coaching. Being able to give people an experience through your coaching that elevates them. So that wisdom is about believing in ultimately your worth and your value as a being, but in this case, this disappointment as a coaching presence.
You know, I buy that when I talk to you, I believe it. When I talk to Kameen and Lindsay, I believe it. But then all it takes is a week, and there's no response of anybody saying anything, and I start saying, you know, I was just, you know, those aren't true. I was just building up myself out of my...
Yeah. Well, that's very normal, Charlie, because guess what? It's a practice, like going to the gym. We get to practice our wisdom elixir. It's something that when external conditions are going great, it might not take a lot of effort to practice. But when we are not getting the validation from the outside, that's when we've got to go to the gym, metaphorically, and work those muscles. Do things that are going to get you back in touch with the currency of truth in that wisdom elixir. That's a really good point you made.
How do we do that, buddy?
Well, anybody who is listening to you can do that by thinking about what activities in their life allow them to reconnect to the currency of truth. So is it meditation? Is it prayer? Is it walking in nature? Is it some type of going to some type of spiritual experience? Is it dancing? Is it surfing? Like, what is it that gets you out of your head? And all those things that you're talking about, those are the mind that divides, doubts, and etc. What gets you out of your head and into a place where you can be receptive and trust and listen to this wisdom, listen to that inner voice? So obviously I teach a lot of methods towards that. That's what I do. But for your listeners, whatever they already have in their life, or if they don't have anything, then seek something out that you've heard about. that's available to you.
Like
it's
what?
not important
Like
that
what?
it be perfect.
Like what? Dena?
Well, the things I've just named. Meditation is everywhere now. You can get it on your phone. Just try something like that and see, oh, if I calm my mind and I get into a practice, then I'm able to reconnect to my own wisdom. And I'm going to practice that. Something as simple as that will get them on the right road.
I awake at 7:30 in the morning and I go till 9:30 or 10, in which I meditate for 20 minutes. I read inspirational writings, just briefly. I journal for about 30 to 45 minutes. I clean up quickly, and then I go into my prayer room and I have an hour of solitude, reading the scripture, giving myself Eucharist. I know I'm not Catholic, so I'm allowed to do that. So I take the body and blood of Christ every day. But you know what I'm thinking, Dena, is I'm intentionally intensifying or nurturing my relationship with God and my relationship with myself. But this coaching element never even occurs in my thought process. And is that what's missing? Is that I'm not bringing this to my prayer and solitude and meditation?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. This heavy load that you described, you want to bring it in to that practice that you already have set up. And for those people who don't have a practice, please do not think that you have to do what Charlie does with the amount of time and devotion he has. If you start where you are, if you start where you are and you find a meditation app or a meditation class in your neighborhood that can allow you to begin, or a dance class on the internet or in your neighborhood that can
or a
allow
yoga
you to
class.
a yoga class that can just begin to get you in touch with, oh, wow, hey, I'm here, and there's an inside to me too, and there's an inner terrain, so that you can begin to listen and hear and feel, and then that's how you practice the wisdom. And as Charlie is saying, make sure that you bring the wisdom from your disappointments, this real world desire that you have, into that practice. That's how you engage it. So, Charlie, we still have to get your theme. Let's do it.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So we got the wisdom, and that heavy rock is bye-bye. You're holding your emerald, you're holding your gem, and you're at the bottom of the lake. You don't need to worry about breathing. It's just a magical situation. But you see reflected far above the lake in the sky what looks like a brilliant star. And it is. This is the North Star of your theme, and it is magnetizing you. It's pulling you up from the bottom of the lake, and as you swim towards it, you begin to feel that these seeds of light are not only pulsating and radiating out, but they are pricking you all over in a very pleasurable way, so that your entire being is being touched by all these points of light. And as this happens, and as you approach the surface of the lake, you begin to feel the quality of this light. And this quality of light, as you digest it, it actually is bringing you to your focus for the entire year. That guiding light, that North Star, that follow the yellow brick road, that if you do follow it, it will lead you to the best possible inner and outer outcome. So you're breaking the surface of the lake, and you're getting a sense of what this theme is. It might be one single word, and for those of you listening, it might be either a sentence, a phrase, or one single word. Be mindful. We want to trim it. If you get a lot of words, that's not going to be very powerful. We want it simple and streamlined so that there's no confusion and no dilution. So, Charlie, what have you got for me?
Holy cow, Dena, this is like 2 days of prayer. But you know what's occurring to me, Dena, is that the coaching was, I think they call it in literature synecdoche, where the part represents the whole.
Yes.
And this was, coaching is not the issue. Mm-hmm. Coaching is a part that represents the whole, and the whole is my desire to bring understanding, internal success to people without hope.
Bam! Holla! Yes, Charlie.
What did I just say?
Well, it's a good thing this is being recorded, because that's kind of like life mission stuff right there. That is on fire. That's hot.
What did I say? Do you remember what I said?
Yes, you are bringing hope and understanding. Yeah.
To people who don't think highly of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hope to the hopeless, and love, and it is all about the greater degree I can, this is an aside, but to the degree that I can love them because of and in spite of, and then talk to them deeply about issues.
Mm-hmm.
Dena Crowder, you won.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you're able to do so many amazing things with that type of person, because you can relate, and this is a thread of vulnerability. You can relate to not feeling worthy. So you can speak their language, and you can help shine this light for them out of the cave or tunnel of their own confusion.
Dena, you are, I don't want to rush our podcast, but I want to say I'm reticent to go on because you just said everything that needs to be said.
Awesome. I love that.
Oh, expect an email or a phone call that we may want to do some more work together.
Well, I'm so glad that we did this, and for your listeners, I want to leave them with what they can do, like you said, to strategize with their theme. Use it, engage with it, put it in your phone, put it in your calendar, write it down, put it as a screenshot and as a reminder. A screensaver is what I meant to say. Because when you follow the star, you will get.
That's good. How do I do? Is that easy to do? I don't know how to do that.
Yes, it's very easy. And my tech guy can help you if you need help. But follow this, my tech Jedi person. Follow the star, and you will get very far. And you can just ask yourself these questions all of the time. Oh, I'm thinking about booking a retreat. I'm thinking about going on vacation. I'm thinking about taking on this new opportunity at work. And you ask yourself, well, wait a minute, is this helping me get closer to blank? And fill your theme in. If it's not helping you get closer to that, then maybe you've got to reconsider. And at the end of your month, when you're going through your month and you're planning your new month, the end of the week, when you're going through the week and planning the next, bring your theme in and look at your calendar. Look at how you're scheduling to see if it matches. Is this supporting and bringing me closer to my theme and its fulfillment? And just that will revolutionize your whole life.
No doubt. That's brilliant. Dena, you are so good.
It's been great, always.
Oh, man. Dena Crowder, thank you for working with me today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, tell me, I'm sure we may have listeners that want to contact you to talk to you about your services and how they can get deeper into this, because I think this is truly life-impacting information. How do we get a hold of you?
Well, if they are on social media, they can go to Instagram and look me up at Dena, Dena Crowder, Crowder, my name. And if they want to go to my website, they can go there, denacrowder.com. Very easy. Oh, and they also can see my TED Talk.
Oh, yes.
They can go to, they can just punch in my name to TED.com or on YouTube. If they leave me a comment on YouTube, I will answer them directly. I try to answer every comment that comes, and the talk is now viral, Charlie. We have
is it
400,000? Yes.
No, you got how many?
400,000 plus.
Dena, that is congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
The Power is You is the name, and all they have to do is put in my name, The Power is You, and they will be taken to TED or YouTube or any of these other places. So, yeah.
Would you have Jedi send me all that information?
Absolutely. I will have the Tech Jedi send you all that information.
And then this show will not air next week, but it will be the first show of the year. This is opening 2022.
Fantastic.
Everybody, I so highly recommend you working with Dena. Dena, you are a gift, and I so appreciate all the work you do. And this is only a tiny bit of the work you do. I mean, you are so involved and so concerned about individuals, culture. I just have ultimate respect for you.
Thank you, Charlie. Back at you.
Okay, I want to thank all our listeners for tuning into the Next Chapter, and remind you that you can get a hold of me if you need to at the Next Chapter with Charlie. No, it's called the Next Chapter.life, the Next Chapter.life. And in wrapping up, until next, this is Charlie Hedges signing off. Bye for now.